All right, episode what, 8 now or 9? 8. It's 8. We're on 8, right?
Sounds like 9
Yeah,
should be
it's
it.
9. Never mind. Yeah, cuz I just listened to 8. 8 was with Quick,
Good,
which
because I was just about to check the
com-
subs tab. I'm like,
coming
we should
in
probably get this
coming
one
into
right.
this, I'm going to upload the Quick POV and then this one since it's going to cover 3 weeks anyways. So, I'm going to throw in obviously episode 6 because that's in the middle of uploading, and then 7 and 8 will just be uploaded together because it's Quick's POV plus a little bit of, you know, I want him back for a real interview. Like now that I know how to run it with him, now that I know how to banter off him.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but
you're gonna meet all of them
I
multiple
know, but
times.
I was just saying like bring him back for a second time so I can try again if they had fun the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's already talked about doing it again. That's a guarantee.
But
But I want to
anybody
do everybody.
listening, oh, this is going to be like, there's going to be two episodes that sound the same, but one's from the perspective of a party member, Quick, which is also supplemented by asking questions, side talk, just interviewing, kind of just getting to know a player. And then, as you heard MrMan say, Andromeda is coming. So if you guys are confused why I'm uploading two episodes that are pretty much the same, it's the DM perspective. It's the DM's like the beginning to end with the DM, and then it's the perspective of the party, which didn't cover everything. It's just the battle at the sea.
Which is what they were there for anyway, really. So that works itself out. Because they don't get to know everything that I
Yeah,
tell on this. So
he
it's
just
nice.
talked about the battle because because that's what he took part in, whereas everything else was kind of like more RP and moving forward, planning and stuff. But anyways, how are
So
you?
the last time we talked, they had poisoned the whole crew, and they were just preparing to attack the boat or the ship itself, the command
Yes.
ship. There's 13 ships. The command ship's the 13th ship. It's the command ship in the sense that most of the people on it are of a higher rank just to be the command structure for that squad of ships, you could say. So that 13th ship, and they only use 13 because that happened to be enough that they can have about 10 miles between each ship, and then they can cover the whole bay. So it's more of a logistics thing. 13 are just enough to do it because they're trying to embargo a gigantic section of land, and they're doing it successfully. So with that in mind, they go after the command ship just to destabilize as much as they can, and they want to make the opening attack a good one because now they've thrown down the gauntlet. It was strictly an embargo when they were talking to Topper. Topper said that when they talked to the king and they got their ultimatum, the ultimatum also stated that if you make any attacks against us whatsoever in retaliation, then it's war and we'll actually raise every city you have to the ground and push you back into your hole so you can't do anything ever again. So, yeah,
Holy
so they
shit,
go up
dude.
to the 13th ship. Go ahead.
I was just saying, holy shit.
So it's yeah, everything's kind of coming to a head for the war itself. This is the opening blow for the sanctuary in it. It's also the premiere of the the submersible that Andromeda came up with. So this is the prototype submersible.
That's
There's a
right.
gnomish crew of 10
Steam,
on board who are there to observe
steam
as well
powered
as run.
submersible.
Yeah, steam. At the moment, no, it's not steam power. They are using a bit of magic to help it along so they can figure out how to do it properly.
Okay.
By the end of the mission, I'll just skip to the end for the submersible because it plays no effect in the mission, except to bring them in and get them out again. But by the time they get it back to shore, the whole thing's basically falling apart. They because it's its first maiden voyage, they don't really know.
It's yeah.
Remember, the sanctuary's been landlocked underground. These gnomes are landlocked underground gnomes. They've never built a ship before. They reverse engineered all the Galdron ships and built their own ships, but those were boats. This would
Disrespectful to Galdron.
That's actually what happened in real life. Carthage is they had instructions on how to put their boats together like IKEA, and the Romans just took those and they're like, "Sweet, we know how to build boats now." And then they use their own boats against them. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the sanctuary.
Oh, that's
So they
okay. I see.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool, fascinating history shit. Anyway, with they then King Ash, who Quick plays as, he probably mentions that in his. He gets kind of two roles in this because he
Yep.
chose to leave his character alive. Everyone else chose godhood. So one of the benefits is he happens to still be alive, so he still gets to have a say in his character. But his character is more of oh, and a power that he doesn't get to fully control. He gets a huge say in what's happening in this war. I'm giving him a huge chunk of it because he earned it. It's a hell of a character. And he kind of went with me because his character did not, like, Ash did not start as a half dragon in
That's
the
right.
shoot.
He kind of talked about that.
Did he go on that? Okay, yeah. So you already know that. So I'll skip past that. So he then had to divvy out his forces. If he already talked about it, I'll just say that he divvied
Well,
out his forces.
he didn't go super in depth. He glossed over the ancestral thing,
Okay.
the
So
dragon
I
thing.
gave him, I've actually made an order of battle. I have every piece of material catalog now. It's not super autistic intense. It's just I have the amount of ships, the amount of dudes, what they got to work with, and then I made actual stats for all the soldiers involved, keeping it simple. There's one hit dice foot soldiers, and then there's three hit dice elites, and then each country is going to have a few specialized elites. So in Galdrin's place, they are the fucking heavy cross or heavy repeater crossbow kings. Like that's the epitome of technology on my world right now is the heavy repeater crossbow that
Yeah.
any Galdronite in the army picks it up. It's like their M16, right? But it's still a hugely expensive weapon at the time, and they have a shitload of them. Every ship has 160 Marines on it, and 80 of those Marines have heavy repeater crossbows, which mean, and I think I kind of talked about this too when they took out toppers. When they get in range for a volley, they can consistently throw 80 bolts at you every 6 seconds.
Jesus.
That's fucking insane. That's in 300 where they like can blot out the skies.
I know.
They can,
That's what I was thinking. It's
yeah,
like because it's dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, and that's
and I'm
just the.
heavily
Yeah, as soon as it comes light, you just got hit with a wall of razor blades, essentially.
It's yeah, it's their real decisive weapon on the ground. They don't have a lot of magic because magic's distrusted. Plus, high level wizards go insane. Wonder why that happens. We'll find out. And they have quite a few wizards on this. Every ship has a wizard, like a ship's wizard on it. But that ship's wizard usually peaks out around level 6 to keep him manageable so he doesn't go nuts. Uh, they don't call themselves level sixes, but they get the gist. There's a test they can do, and then okay, yeah, this one's safe to throw on your ship. Just when he does a bunch of stuff, bring him back because we don't want him to get too power crazy, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
understandable.
Yeah, absolutely, it's understandable in circumstances. So he divvies out his forces. He ends up taking his specialized troop, and with the specialized troop, they are basically absolute fucking wreckers. I built them along the lines of what Lancelot himself would have picked. Every
Yeah.
single
Okay.
one is a mutant, but they are quality over quantity to an insane degree, but every loss is felt, and he only has a few hundred of them. He chose to take 40 on this mission, which
Yeah.
is pretty badass. Like he's gonna get the job done. He also chose to take all three dragons. Did not choose to take Lancelot, or not Lancelot, sorry, at King Ash. Left King Ash behind.
Why
They
did he? Like you said, wait. He left dragons behind.
No, the three dragons come. So how they enter is the three
That's
dragons
right.
can all cast Featherfall, and they can cast
That's
Featherfall enough
right.
that by the time the Featherfall wears off, they can cast it on the next guy again. They can do it at will. So if you can picture a dragon that's probably just double the size of a horse, essentially. So not a huge dragon. They're called young adult dragons, but these young adult dragons can cast Featherfall at will, which means the guys that are on them they could all be pulling on a spot of it. He can just keep casting Featherfall on them and tow them through the air. So these things are
That's
almost like those little bird helicopters, and he's got five dudes on each side, and he's gonna fucking special ops those
oh,
guys.
Navy SEALs them
Yeah,
bitches.
yeah, but with dragons that shoot fire and shit, or not fire,
That's
or they're
right. He
silver
did
dragons.
talk about that, but
Yeah,
I
yeah, he's got
completely
three
hazed
silver
over
dragons
that.
at his disposal. So they've got their plan of action. That plan of action took almost an entire section. And I enjoyed that, and everybody said they enjoyed it at the end too. Not really much dice rolling, but really thinking about how they wanted to go at it. They have already been on the ship when they sabotaged it, so they knew exactly what the layout was. They knew how they wanted to attack it. How they went about going at it was they went at the siege level first. So there's four heavy catapults on the northeast. the north by northeast and the north by northwest, like on the corners of the front of each ship, kind of like a sponson that sticks out.
Yeah, I
So
got you.
they're also a giant opening into there that would say fit a dragon inside of it. They chose to shock attack after ambush. The ambush opens with paralyzing gas being spewed by the dragons into that chamber, which paralyzes everybody sleeping because they don't know, so they just breathe it in and fail to save. In that opening round, they kill 53 of the passengers
Oh
online.
my
I
god!
yeah, I made them roll for all this. So I've also made my own set of homebrew small unit tactics stats that can be adapted for large scale. This came from my world builder because I wanted world builder to have a military aspect to it.
Yeah.
So I took those rules, boiled them down a little bit for smaller scale, and we tried to use them. And I have to say, I was very happy with the outcome. They killed 52 because they just rolled like fucking studs. Like it was very good rolls all around. They rolled quite high on their opening salvo, and in the fact that they have very high quality troops, and those troops have full blades. So what a full blade is, it's about it, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, that giant motherfucking sword.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
whole
that Buster Blade or whatever.
10-man squads of that. Yeah, that
That's
giant
too
fucking blade that
fucking
you almost have to
crazy.
carry out
And
your
they can
shoulder.
swing it around like a
Yeah, so
katana.
giant. Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, it's an amazing. It
Go
does 2d8. That's the main reason
go
I went with it.
fuck
Huge
yourself.
output.
If I had to fight
So
that,
they
like
get
it
those giant blades.
oh shit,
Roll
sorry.
max damage. They just fucking annihilated them. So
Yeah.
52 on the opening round.
They're
Second
swinging
round,
dicks
by
is what you're
then, they still have
saying.
the element price. Yeah, there's the biggest of swinging dicks.
Yeah, so say they're
So they,
swinging dicks. Like they're literally like this would be a time if we had a graphics person to throw a swinging dick on the screen. That's how insane. But anyways, back to
I
those
think,
big beastly bitches killing people.
okay. So they make their way through those decks. In the middle of those decks is where a lot of people sleep. Remember, this ship has 240 people on it, 160 Marines, and 80 crew to do everything. Now they've already poisoned this crew, which in my mind I've affected all this by giving it to them as a bonus in the small unit tactics roll off, so that they're not rolling against the full amount of guys there. They're rolling against something much more manageable. And since a lot of them are bedridden, a lot of them were already sleeping or in a position to not really resist. So they ran through, opened a door up, swung their blade, killed 2 or 3 guys in one fucking swipe, opened the next door and moved on. Most of the people that could respond are going to be sick as fuck. So they make their way through the small unit tactics. We do a few rolls, and then we move to them on the deck. So they had a primary mission, which I allowed them to choose. I was like, really, what do you want to accomplish with this? You're going to send a message no matter what by sinking this ship. The war is on. So they then had to make a choice. They wanted to commit and make sure that they pulled it off, so they chose the ship's captain to pump him for information. Sanctuary has access to dominate mind or to dominate person. So all they got to do is get him out of there, hit him a whole bunch of times with that mutant until he's his best friend, and he spills the beans on everything. Now, the Galdrins know this. They have magic at their disposal as well. So they have compartmentalized information systems.
That's
So
pretty
they
smart. So even if something
it is
gets out, there's nothing much, more than that little piece of information getting out.
and I'm trying to play them as like insanely intelligent, like Nazi at its heights, kind of like they were gods at tactics. Like they think
I wouldn't say
everything through.
Nazi at heights. I would say Soviets, and at their height in the Cold War, because they're the ones that took that
Okay,
Nazi
cool.
ideology and then just their Soviet efficiency.
But it's the sheer discipline of the army, I guess, and that
Oh, okay,
discipline.
okay, then yeah, that would be more
That's what I mean by
Nazis,
Nazi. Like they had
Nazi-esque.
that discipline that saw them through all the way through, and that's what I'm modeling Galdrin on. A very professional military. But the difference between them and the Nazis is a lot of those guys had background fighting from World War One at their disposal in the form of older advisors and stuff like that. Where Galdrin didn't have much on the go, so they're kind of learning. They're kind of like America in the Vietnam War, where they had to come up with the helicopter tactics and shit like that.
Yeah,
Like they had to come at this as a planned invasion of the entire world. And the sheer logistics of that is quite boggling. They have to have supply. You can't just move armies of men around in it. So in that just that force that's an embargo force, that's at very minimum 1,600 men just boom, ready to go. Those 1,600 men, and then that's plus a few more because there's 13 ships, but I'm just doing tens for easy math.
Yeah, I got you.
Those 1,600 men, there's also 80 soldiers, so 240. So we'll go 2,400 men to feed and make sure that you have enough supplies because stuff gets worn out. Guys lose things. You need to resupply all that stuff. All your rigging only has so much life on it. So Galdrin has a constant supply flow going to these embargo ships. I got way off base from what they're doing, but I just wanted to give the
I
background
got
that
you. So
what they're doing is going to matter, but it's not so powerful that it's going to hold them up. So they're trying to
there's an
make the most.
operation currently
They're
going
grabbing.
on, which is moving large cargo
So
crates.
they're going to get. I guess my point was they're going to get a lot of information about just this point of the embargo. They're not going to be able to pump him for the whole master plan on what's happening to Fangorn and what's happening to the Northland.
But it's information useful nonetheless.
Yeah. So the amount of information is still worth it. So that's what they choose. That's what they go with.
I'm
They
gonna
get him without
theorize.
an
I'm gonna guess what they're gonna do with that. That they got the idea where they're moving cargo. That's the only bit of information they got, right?
No, they get well, the information that they want is what's going to happen immediately after this attack. They want to know what's going to happen to them so that they can plan the counter move. They want
Well,
to
what
know
would they
what.
get from that? What piece of information did they get?
Yeah, so they get the whole shebang on how they're going to get attacked from this point on.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah, and
misunderstood.
I'll
I
just
thought it
give you
was
that info now.
I thought it was like business, like shipping supplies. I'm like, oh, my theory. That's why I stopped. I was going to have a theory that they use the fact that their enemy is, transporting goods and shit. I thought it was going to be some clever like espionage type stuff. My bad.
You're not wrong because that is
Oh,
what I told you is what they learn about the supply and stuff.
yeah.
That's what they learn from him. They also learn that as soon as the first blow is struck, they're informed to go to 1,000 foot range and level the fucking every single city of the sanctuary. So there's 3 cities that they can reach from the shore because they're all built on the coast inside of a bay. And in that bay, they go 1,000 feet off and just level that city to the ground with heavy catapults. Each ship has 4 heavy catapults, so that's 40 stone shots. Each ship has 80 stone shots on it, so they can just fucking go all day. They can also light them on fire. So they can light them on fire, start fires, and raise these cities to the ground. That's the information they find out so that they're able to act on it. And we'll get to what they do with that information tonight as well because
Okay.
they've already started acting on it. So they have that. Getting the captain goes off without a hitch. They basically kick in the door, see that he's already incapacitated, but he was on the upswing. That's also what they learn. Sverig was there with him. He looks at the herbs there and he realizes that those herbs were the ones that were going to heal him. So them acting in that 2 week window was perfect. And that was the price they were going to pay if they decided to dawdle or do something besides what was set in
Oh.
place. Then the crew would have already been healed.
That's like
So
some
it was
old
good that
school
they did.
RPG shit where if you didn't even go talk to this random NPC to get this quest or piece of information, you lose out on major gameplay, like, reward type deal. And for
Yeah,
them,
it's
it's
a
healing.
story based thing in this one. Like they're like, okay, thank goodness we made the right choice. Like, okay, good, we did the right thing. So they
Yeah, but
grab
I'm
him
saying,
without
but
a
it's like
hassle because
it's
he's still
super
sick.
retro. It
Yeah,
just sounds.
well,
Go ahead.
when he saw everybody getting sick, he started drinking more water because they didn't realize it was from the water. They thought it was from certain foods,
Oh,
so they
that's
threw a
right.
whole bunch of that food
That was a
overboard.
fear by some pirate, oh, not pirates, but sailors and shit way back when that it was heat or hunger or whatever, not the salt water that was making them act that way. So they kept drinking more salt
Exactly.
water, or they would
Well,
mix
his
their liquor
water
with
was
salt
clear.
water.
And they don't really have much love for the gods because most of the gods are sanctuarians. So they don't have clerics on board to cast purify water or anything like that. So he goes
Oh,
heavy on the water more than anyone else. So he's the sickest. But once they figure out it's from the water, they stop drinking water, and he's the first one to find out because he's the sickest. But it's too late.
gosh.
So they take him without a struggle. There was no one else in there because they chose 2 a.m. to do this. Also, they rolled to see what percentage of the men were sick that were supposed to be on deck duty. You got like 98%. So the
Oh
whole
my,
on the whole deck
98
there was
sick.
like yeah, there was like one guy in the fucking crow's nest and one guy on the stairs. So quick, this is at the point he separates. So they come in on the submersible. The attack happens on the middle. While that's happening, the whole group also has water breathing on. Take the water breathing spell, go below, cast wood shape, to put a giant fucking hole in the ship so that no matter what, that motherfucker's sinking. So they put a giant hole in it. Quick fucks off by himself. I'll do Quick's real quick because he's already talked about it. He goes up the side, shimmies across, goes up the main mast, attacks the dude, kicks his ass. I think he ends up hucking him over the edge.
Yes.
No, he tries, but he's not strong enough to throw him far enough because it's a 20-foot wide ship. It's a huge ship. So he
Oh,
realized he's not strong enough yet.
I
So he just throws
remember
him.
he went for a grab.
Yeah, he did go for the grab. Ends up killing him. That's what matters. That guy was one of the only two people, and then the other guy's taken off without a hitch. They grab the captain, like I just described. Got ahead of myself a bit. And then from there, they escape and give the captain and get him down into the submersible.
Because I did
Then they
talk to him
choose to
about
kill the
what
wizard.
we talked about what they were going to do with that captain, my ideas, and also my like, well, is there any real super use out of that you guys are looking for, or you know what I mean? I'm trying to see it because not all enemies that you capture have useful information.
This one was a good one, though.
I
They
know.
chose right.
We were just debating on, not debating, but I was debating on what I thought they were going to do or what they could have done.
That's cool. I can't wait to listen to it. Yeah, send it to my ass. Anywho, they decide then to go after the wizard as everything's starting to respond. There's another back and forth with small unit tactics. They end up losing, I want to say 15 of the reclaimer, or not the reclaimers. What the hell is their name? I have to look that up. Anyway, they lose 15 of their guys, and not the best, but they don't like fully die. But you have about half the casualties are going to be wounds, and it depends whether you
That
have
sucks.
healing magic with you or not to see how much more of that is gained. So they have a 75% replenishment rate. So they lost about 5 guys fully. But every loss hurts for those guys. They're fucking
Yeah, you
stars.
did say that because they have they're
So
the big dick
it was
swingers.
yeah, it was costly, and they were very happy after they went unanswered for 2 rounds. But then you have to remember, most of the people that could have responded were paralyzed. But now we're at the point in the fight where response is incoming, and it's pretty feeble at best. But I end up rolling really well for one of the go rounds, and they don't, and that's where I actually got the majority of the wounds on those other guys. So
Okay.
at this point, they fight the wizard. They do quite well.
They killed the
Trying to
wizard,
remember how the
right?
battle went specifically. Quick was up in the mast keeping track because there was also lanterns that they were communicating with over the 10-mile span. So he was making sure that the lantern didn't go down, and he was also watching to see if the other ships were attacking them. But each round is 6 seconds, and the small unit tactics are 1 minute. So the whole thing has only been about 3-4 minutes. They're just
Well,
moving
yeah.
like
Usually, combat battles and stuff like that, they seem like they last a long time, but it's really just like maybe 15 minutes
just a few
tops.
seconds. Yeah, each round is 6 seconds. So on their 10 rounds, so 3 minutes
You guys
happened.
time it, or is it just the average choice for every person?
No, the timing happens where the small unit tactics are 1 minute chunks. When they act independently on their own, they turn into 6 second chunks.
Oh wait,
So
hold
if you
on. So this is not
played
like you
an
have 6 seconds to answer. It's just like the time span of your action takes 6 seconds.
yes, yeah.
Okay,
I didn't
I
even
was
think of it that way. Yeah,
disconnected there. I was like, "What the fuck are you saying, MrMan? I have no idea."
no,
No, I
that's
got you
fine.
now.
And actually,
Oh
myself
shit!
and Quick were talking about that because he pointed out we take a lot of this shit for granted. Like we've played D&D forever, and it's nice that Sork hasn't because he can ask the questions that other people I'm sure might have. Because
I
yeah, like I said, I've been playing
I
for
try
so
to
long, I
video
don't even think
gamify
of
it.
that distinction, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad
So
I'm able to video gamify it for people, even if you like. We both know what you're talking about. I always feel it in my kind of like a tutorial type of thing. Like if I have the ability to teach someone something, might as well do it here. And explaining the video game concepts like or MMO concepts in video game terms or references, I think it helps.
no, I think so too. And anything video games are so mainstream and widespread, it's an easy thing to relate to. And I relate a lot of my rules for my own homebrew shit from video games, especially Crusader Kings. So it,
Yeah.
it, it works out. So they fight the wizard. Quick's up in the main or up in that crow's nest, keeping an eye on things. He attacks from above with his short bow, does quite well, kills a few guys. Tverg stands back, uses a bit of his magic. I believe he ends up magic missiling the wizard. Wizard does quite well. End up wounding a couple of them quite decently. Those wounds carry over to the next encounter I get to. And all in
Nice.
all, it was a well executed plan. I give him by the time it's 5 minutes in, I say the ship's doomed. You've killed over three quarter or no, about half the Marines, and there's nowhere for them to go. And it takes a little bit for a ship to go 10 miles. So you can wait around and kill all survivors, which they do. So they wait and see who can swim, and then they just slaughter everyone and leave
That's
no trace.
fucking ruthless.
It's absolutely is ruthless. And oh goddamn, Owen would be so proud of them for doing that because that is so Owen. It's not even fucking
Wait,
funny.
are they killing my Galdrin like this?
Oh man, Owen would never let anybody ever survive. Galdrin would let you survive, and they did before. I mentioned before that they hid that ship into oblivion, but they went and rescued the survivors after. Now they had ulterior motives to pump for information on Topper, but other than that, they're more of traditional people matter. But yeah, no, this was we're gonna kill all you motherfuckers. You're ruining our whole way of life. We have no problem with it. And the special soldiers that are with them are indoctrinated from youth to do exactly what they're told. So that worked itself out. So they went and did that exactly. And dragons don't give a fuck. They slaughter everyone on board, sink the ship. It's fucking gone without a trace. No survivors. They fuck off. That's the end of that session. Now we're moving on to the next session, which would be last week, right before you talked quick.
Oh,
Or
okay. So fuck. So we still have two more sessions. Well,
yeah,
this
we do.
session and then another
That
one.
was we're actually 4 sessions because I had
Oh
one.
fuck. My bad, everybody on YouTube that is watching this.
No, it's all good. Because the last time we talked, I said I didn't have much to talk about because most of it was planning, and that was
That's
that plan.
right. It was right because you were telling me about the war and you were like revealing some shit I was curious about.
Yep. So from that point there, they now have to act. So they use the dominate spell immediately. That mutant is brought with them, so they can pump them for information on the beach and act from that point on. I give King Ash his options. I say you got 3 cities. Closest city has the best chance of getting away. The other 2 cities are sitting ducks. Um, Warning them is going to help, but it does not mean that. Remember, you're in a bay, and in order to get back to the sanctuary, the fastest way is to be hugging against that bay to go back. If they go too far out of their way, each settlement has about 400 people in it, and they can't just live off the land with 400 people. Men, women, children, most of them craftsmen and specialists. Not everyone's an adventurer. So it is a sheer logistical nightmare. But Sanctuary has dragons, and like I said, they can do 30 people at a time because they've got 3 dragons.
Lucky
So
motherfuckers.
yeah, with that in mind, they are able to start evacuating, but 400 people, 30 people at a time, it's going to take a bit of time, especially when it takes about 13 or 14 hours per round. Not round trip, one-way trip. So about a day for a round trip. It's going to take a while to send them all, but you send the women and children first. It gets a little easier, and he chose Lancelot him or not. Fuck, I keep calling him. He does Lancelot so much justice that I
Yeah.
can't help but confuse them.
How he
So
talked about like his past characters. Well, wait. No, Lancelot's not quick, is it? No.
oh, Lancelot's Owen,
Yeah,
the
that's
the
right.
originator of the sanctuary. But
Yeah,
no, no
I
worries.
got that. I got that backwards. I knew, those big important names. I just forgot which character had them.
Oh, fine. So he chooses King Ash to go and keep an eye on them, which means they're intact. They're going to be fine. Anything they send at him, King Ash can handle. They have nothing of high value. They could take him out with 80 shot Dark Shard swarms, and he is fully aware of that. That's the one way they can take his fucking ass down. So he will be doing that in mind. He's gonna make. He also has people to help him fight. It's not like all the sanctuary people that are running away are fucking slouches. Most of them are mutants. It's very like the chance of it being congenital are like 90%. So they have a lot of mutants in their population.
Yeah.
They so he chooses to do that. The settlement that's closest to where they just took out that ship, that settlement is the one that he chooses to send the characters to. They didn't want to bring anyone else with them. He didn't want to risk anyone else. He's like, send everybody else back just in case this is a ruse or they go straight for the sanctuary itself. So the 3 dragons drop them off at the outskirts of, I think it's Sifa, and they go inside. We'll skip through. They determine that. So at this point, I leave it up to them. Look, how do you want to go about this? You know the plans now are to obliterate these things. You also know that there's about 400 people that you now need to escort because they have to do the same thing. With all of you and the escort, it'll be fine. But Galdrin can simply send their ships ahead of you and block off the road, which is fully capable. Moving in those boats is way fucking faster. So they determined to sabotage the shots. because what they were supposed to do was obliterate the towns, get the people running away, go ashore, check for survivors, burn anything that they couldn't take out with the shots, retrieve their shots, go back to the ships. They know this implicitly. Galdrin doesn't know that they know this. So they decide to hide on the outskirts, let them obliterate the town, and then sabotage all of the shots because they could make those heavy catapults completely useless if they have nothing to use. And these are specialized shots that are built in foundries and everything. They find stone cutting tools because those are there because it's a settlement. So they take the stone cutting tools, they hide on the outskirts, and they let them obliterate the town. About, I don't know, after however long it took, we rolled randomly. I think it was a couple hours. For a couple hours, most of the town's obliterated. There's smoke everywhere because they can light these on fire too. So they send oil-filled ones with fire to, like they said, raise it to the ground.
It's pretty
There's a
smart.
ton of smoke. Yeah, it is, right? That's what they're supposed to do. They don't want to fuck with the sanctuary. This is they are fearful of the sanctuary. They've had 3 kings killed by the sanctuary kings
What the
personally
fuck?
in the throne room. Yeah. Owen killed 2 and Ash killed 1.
Oh, you
So
show off quick.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Well, Greg
not
killed 1. Greg
not
killed 1.
quick,
But
but
still, not
fucking.
bad. He still killed a king. So yeah, they've had it happen to them like 3 times. So they really don't like. There's bad blood.
My
Bad
bad,
blood
quick. I
made by
misnamed
player
you.
characters. Yeah, that's why you picking Galdrin is so great. It's their time to shine. Fuck all y'all. We're gonna win for once.
The
So
French
they have all this.
motherfuckers.
They want to just leave them without a means, push them back into their hole. So with all the smoke and stuff, they start working. They get to it, make them roll randomly, but I give them a guaranteed chance. I believe in me and Meech. So I just said, out of 100% shots, because also remember, these guys have never been in a fight. It's their first chance to really shoot these catapults in combat. I use air quotes on that situation. So they're having a blast. They just fucking shoot their whole load. Everything. They're going to shoot all 100% with no idea
Oh,
that all
Jesus
100% is
Christ.
probably going to get, at least a huge chunk of it's going to get taken out. They roll exceptionally well. I make them roll strength checks because it's about how fast you can smash your way through. And then that strength check is modified by another percentage. And then I add all that up together and say that's how many of it. And I think they ended up taking out like 80% of that ammo. Like they did a phenomenal job of taking that fucking ammo out. They
Dude,
ran
I'm just
around.
gonna say the party is full of killers, man. They're straight
Yeah,
killers.
rocks don't fight back too, so
Oh,
that's
that
always
makes
nice.
sense.
So that they kill the fuck out of all of those shots and rocks and stuff. And they also used 1-shot oil ammo too, so a bunch of those are just unusable anyway. So it was a huge waste on ammo for them on something they thought they were going to get back. This puts logistics strain on them, which is they've now decided. So I'd let them know all the info I've already let you know, and they've done exactly what you just said. They want to fuck with the supply chain. They want to make it so expensive to keep this going, much like the Vietnamese did,
Well,
that they
here's my
just
2 thoughts when fucking with the supply chain. It's
go ahead.
you neither start slowly, like neither just stealing some of the stuff, so it looks like they're losing supplies in transit, so they're unreliable. Slash, start mistrusting each other because someone on the inside's clearly stealing for profit, or you use that information, and build up a rival business using their exact tactics, their ports, their whatever information you have, use it against them by being exactly them, and then just undercut them while doing it. So, that's another fun way to fuck with. But I'm thinking more RP.
Yes and no, because everything you just said is doable, but you also need to remember that they have a special invention, the submersible. They
Oh
can
yeah, I
just
keep
pull a
forgetting
full
that.
German. They can go full Germany, take those fucking supply ships out with their army of submersibles, and make it so expensive that because if they can choke the submersibles
Aren't they
off
still
in
trying to
the
fight
Bay of
Withers?
Pretoria, sorry.
Aren't they at like Cold War with Withers or?
So it's funny you mentioned that. I gave them each their own question to ask this guy. And the first fucking question that Quick asked is Withers behind this? And he said, and he says, Admiral Withers is behind this, but he only leads the invasion. So they do find out that he's been promoted to admiral, but they also find out that he had a falling out with his brother. Now, if you'll remember, when they all met on the dock, his brother was insistent that they go with Treetopper. We realize that this is because every single person that knows about the pirate base is in that party, that they don't really, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get rid of them. while all the people that chose to go with them are Galtrian citizens, and they can just make them disappear. So
That's
it's
true.
it's every single loose end is wrapped up. They can send them off in a boat,
Or
sink
the
a boat,
loose,
kill
at least
anybody
a
survive.
loose end
Nope.
is occupied for the time being.
Exactly. So he wanted to do that, but remember, Withers is unreasonably and madly in love with Andromeda, and he
Oh
didn't want
yeah.
that to happen. So after they leave, he tries to send someone to shut that invasion down. And he actually sends an agent that he tries to get to murder the guy in charge, but the agent fails. And this is just RP stuff that I've already come up with because I want them to have a falling out. So he has a falling out with his brother over Andromeda, and his brother is also, remember, the right hand of the king.
Hmm.
So to punish him, they kind of pull a General Patton where they want to use his name but keep him out of anywhere where he can cause trouble. So they send him to just handle the embargo of the sanctuary, which is right up his alley. He hates the sanctuarians because Andromeda chose to go with them, and it just falls in their hands. What's the worst he can do? Kill them all? So, and he's got so much at his disposal because they know they have overwhelming odds. They have over, like, what? I think they have them rated at 40,000 men, and the sanctuary has 4,000. So it's really Vietnamish in the sense that overwhelming odds, overwhelming firepower in the regards to average foot soldiers, not always pound for pound. They should be able to win this, and they will, as I already said, if it was pound for pound. But the player characters involved, so this is where it changes. So what their plan is,
Oh
once they see this
man.
guy, they see that there is an entrance to the Bay of Bretonia that they could just hold with the submersibles, and they personally don't even have to do it. Now that Andromeda has given them the idea, the Sanctuary is in a position to fight off an overwhelming naval superiority battle. They've done it, essentially. They've given the prototype, they've brought the prototype into battle, now it's just a matter of time, which is what I want. I never intended on them staying and fighting their personal little war. I want them to go here, be instrumental, and then choose something else to be involved in. And I really hope. No, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what I hope because they're going to listen to this before they make that decision, and I don't want to color it.
You
But I know
better.
which way I hope they go, and I hope they do go that way, and it'll be better for them if they do. And if they choose to go the way that I hope that, like, the opposite way of what I hope, it's not going to be bad for them per se, but it will be horrible for the side that they don't choose, and then it will be harder for them in the long run.
Well,
So with that,
that's the fun of it, though.
it is, and that's what's fun for me. It's not as much fun to meter my words, but hey, it keeps anyone listening guessing too. So they sabotage all of the shots, and then run and hide, and then now that is uh now we're into the next session. So this is last night's session. So we're basically caught up. A whole bunch of that was over 4 sessions. So anyway, now they determine that they are going to see what happens. So they go out of range, and they are left 2 elven scouts to keep an eye out for them. That they just lived in the sanctuary settlement. They just stayed to give them a hand. So these 2 scouts take them to the outskirts. They let everyone land. So again, it's Galdrin. They're not fucking around. Plus, it's their first chance to really land on shore. They haven't actually sent anybody ashore yet. They've just been embargoing from the sea. They don't fuck around. Out of the 12 remaining ships, 6 of the ships that did not bombard, because they only used half their force, that used 100% of their ammo. So they've already lost half their entire ammo supply, 80% of it at the very minimum, to this raising of this city. So what this means is they're going to be, if they go and do this again at the other city, they're going to not have any heavy ballista defense, which will be helpful later on. Because if they have to, say, get resupplied with a ton of that stuff, they can take that supply ship out, and ammo is everything. So they,
That's true, unless they think ahead and just say, "Fuck it, let's get rid of it for everybody," so it's not a risk.
yeah, and that's what they're hoping, because King Ash has to make terms. Like, this war does not end until he makes terms
Margaret
with the king,
awoke,
and his terms
startled
are
a
all
cold sweat
in
clinging to her.
regard to how well his country does in the battle. Every single one of these little uh, issues that they have, or sabotages, are going to add up. Now, also against them, the raising of these cities are going to work against them too, because they're willingly let these cities being raised, but it's not helping their war score. Galdrin has a certain set of limits that they can achieve, and then they win this war. Now, win is a relative word, but in this regard, the real gains are they get the whole north section of the old sanctuary
Oh
states.
shit.
Sanctuary loses, well, they willingly just lost all their presence outside of the sanctuary itself. And if they can't respond and they cannot get guys to position in time to repel any sort of actual beachhead invasion, which is now going to be a thing because they've chosen to fight back, they will lose all the North Territory. And then that war is over, and then there's a peace accord, and then he has to wait unless he wants to retaliate, because I'm going to keep that kind of stuff too, because it's civilized and all that. But we'll see if King Ash wants to be a deal breaker. That could reflect poorly on him in the future. It all depends. So they wait on the outskirts, and they now determine that what they want to do is they want to keep these fuckers here as long as they can. Because the longer they keep them there, that gives King Ash and the own people that they're trying to escort more time to get away, right?
Yeah.
They just got 6 boats, and then those other 6 ships that still have their shots are watching on standby on the shore. So they've tied up the entire invasion force on one town, and they saw shapes
That
in the
is
fog,
not smart.
smashing all this stuff. So they now have to send guys ashore. So that works out perfectly. So far, so good.
Yeah.
They send all those boats ashore. So that's one, like I said, 140 Marines, I believe it said. Yeah, 140 in each ship. All 140 to the 180. That balls them high. Anyway, send all the Marines aboard on each one. So there's thousands of Marines. They make sure in a 1 mile radius, or 1 mile front, I guess you could say. So there is one boat with 40 men in each boat every 440 feet along the shoreline. They actually break this out. Now, obviously, a shoreline is not a straight thing. There's lay of the land, jagged rocks, all sorts of shit. So what they do is they try to get line of sight between everywhere with flagmen so that they can keep tabs on one another as they go, and then they go out in a search pattern. The 1 mile front, they send themselves out. They can only go so far across because it's then you hit a river. There's only so many places for them to fight. Then they can respond and whatnot. Now they also have magic at their disposal, but those wizards are only used in an emergency to respond, and then from that point on they use flags again after that. Wizards can cast a shout spell, which allows them to yell over miles so that people miles away can hear what they say. Really helpful in a battle. And again, I said they're disciplined, so they're used to it. Yeah, they can just shout what they are. Doesn't mean they're going to be like, we're going to do this. They'll just say, attack pattern alpha, that kind of thing, and then everybody knows. Or enemy on the southern front. Then they know something's down there, en masse. And then if they need to communicate, they can use flags to do it. So with that, again, they leave at each boat, they leave a 10-man squad. And then from that point on, all the squads have another 10-man squad every 220 feet between them to keep.
That's a pretty good tactical. What was that? Infantry line.
Yeah, this is, like I said, they've had hundreds of years to perfect their army. Now they're trying it out for the first time, and yeah, it really
first time.
This is their first landing. Like I said,
That's right.
they've never invaded another country. Yeah, it's Marines, right? They got to go from the sea to the land and take over. The first Marines in Perennia history, and the first single invasion.
Like I said before, I hope they take over and control Galdrin long enough so they lose their French accents.
It's getting awesome. I gave them all Irish accents too, so they'll get to talk like this.
I would deal with that more than French.
Oh, I love how the French enrages them. That's like the best bad guy accent ever. I can just be a snotty little French faggot. Oh, it's so much fun.
Oh, go fuck yourself. Blame France for all the world's issues. And Canada is half French, so they're at fault too.
Hey, I resent that. Half French. They only got one province. There's a whole lot more Anglo province. They can just have their one province. It's one province too many. Anyway.
If everyone just stayed in their own provinces and ignored each other.
Actually, we could ditch Newfoundland too. So they wait on the outside, determine they're gonna attack the boats, because then they can strand guys, or at least slow them up so that they have to make multiple trips to pull all their guys back. Now, the funny part about this is they're going to end up killing every squad that went in every fucking...
Oh my god.
I mean, but that's only one squad in each, so they only set the bells. But I have had to laugh. I'm like, they're thinning the numbers as they're attacking them, but then that's guys that got to go back to the ship. But yeah. So anyway,
It's like,
they
guys,
start the
my
battle.
wife is calling me. I gotta go back to the ship. I gotta answer this phone call. It's an interview.
Sick. So they pick the southernmost front, and they're going to attack from the edge because anywhere else would be fucking suicide. They'd be swarming because there's 10-man squads all over, and there is 6 ships. Each ship, I think, it's 160. Yeah, I think it's 160.
100, yeah,
there's
140,
whatever
160.
16 times 6 is. I am way too big to do that math right now. 16 times
we're
6
both
equals,
retarded.
yeah, 960 men on shore right now in search pattern.
A lot
all
of people.
It is. That's a lot of people. It's about 1,000 people. So they are going out actively looking for the player characters, but they're more going across. Now, they're not looking for the player characters per se. They're looking for the people that they saw running about in the smoke, smashing shit. They've also discovered that their shit just got all sabotaged. They're quite pissed off, and they want to find who's responsible. Whoever's responsible might be waiting to do it again, or they might be like doing guerrilla shit, which they are fully
doing it and be unseen, so it makes them go crazy and start blaming each other. So distrust could tear them, at least weaken their infantry.
Yeah, the distrust is a far ways off. I have to point out they're very disciplined. That's their thing. So distrust is not inherent in them. They have boot camp, the whole bit. But later, yes. Once their numbers start thinning and they lose that moral superiority edge, then yes, that's going to happen. But it's still a bit off. And they have to be losing for that to happen. You can't just get distressed like that if you're losing. Or if you're winning. So they come in from the south. Sverig's plan is to use his Scorching Ray, and he's got a couple other fire spells prepared. Then Shaw, with his amazing bow skills, is simply going to light his arrows on fire with the boat that he sets on fire, and then shoot those at the other boats, hopefully. That's their plan going in. Other than that, Quick's going to go in front, and he's going to scout out and see what he can do and try to get some sneak attacks. Andromeda plays the middle. We roll terrain randomly to see how close they can get. They end up getting within 40 feet with cover in the way due to the lay of the land, which is pretty close. Close enough to do quite a bit of shit. I then roll randomly to see how much surprise exactly they can get. The squad that they attack is one thing. They're going to know immediately they're being attacked. But the people 220 feet away, that's quite far to see. It's way too far to hear what's happening. And they're not necessarily going to be staring.
240 what? Feet?
220 feet.
220 feet is not too far away to hear, unless it's like a crossbow bolt or something.
Yeah, but still, it's far enough away that you're not necessarily going to see exactly what happens.
Yeah, you're unsure what noises. I get what you're saying. I was just going to say. I was saying you hear something, you just don't know. You can't hear it. You can't hear, a defined, more, just,
The majority of that squad is not. Yeah, the majority of that squad is not looking behind them either. They're looking outwards for the saboteurs. So they come up from the south, attack the squad. It's a very good opening salvo. Berg is now hitting his prime for being a mage. Like, he gets 2nd level spells, he's just about to 3rd level spells, then Tixus gets a crack at him. But until then, when he gets his 3rd level spells, he'll be really well off. His 2nd level spell he has is called Hypnotic Pattern, I believe. Yeah, Hypnotic Pattern. Oh, he'll be like, what? That's the wrong one. But yeah, he has 2 spells, maybe Scintillating Ray. Whatever spell he uses, it incapacitates them completely. He ends up affecting the entire 10-man squad with it after Shaw kills 2 of them. First one they take out is the Flag Man, so that he can't send flags too far. Like, basically take out the Radio Man, essentially. And then they take out the
guy that can call in, reinforcements, or that can lay claim to territory.
Yeah, or just ask for instructions, say. So they go in there, incapacitate most of them, run to the boat. Zverg then makes all the rigging into a nice, neat little pile so that when he sparks it on fire, it's going to catch real quick. From there, Quick himself starts barreling up the beach, trying to get to the other crew as fast as he can. We roll random terrain again. He manages to get... You realize that he can get within, 80 feet of the next 10-man squad at the next boat, but there's no cover. between him and them. So he opts to let them run towards the fire that they're about to start and then get them in the back as they run by. He has no cover again to just hide from them. He's going to try to do the old when you hide on one side of a pillar and you see someone come, and as they come, you creep around the other side of the tree.
Dude, that is
Yeah,
testing
just so
dice
classic,
rolls,
right?
man. That is
Yeah.
tempting him.
It's ballsy, and he has a really good hide check, plus he's small. So I'm going to give him good odds. Andromeda, on the other hand, also wants to go up with him, but I'm like, first of all, you're not small.
Andromeda's a
And second
woman,
of
her
all,
ass or hips would be seen.
yeah, well, giant titties might be distracting, but no. He
Oh, then her
he
PTSD
just,
from rape.
basically there just wasn't enough room for both of them. So it bugs him,
Oh, you're
but I
calling
mean,
the rape victim fat? I see how you are.
oh, it's fine. He's now got that simmering rage, or she, I guess you should say, has the simmering rage of revenge. She was happy to find out that
me
still
and
alive.
Quick were talking about how Andromeda's character is like kind of like the spearhead of roleplay, of emotion, of like I'm emotionally invested. Let's go.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
he was saying how it's a new thing for your guys' group, and I was like, that's kind of weird. That starts, and then I come in and start showing it off.
Yeah, well, I was having so much fun with the RP, and you talked about doing the D&D podcast. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
I said
I'm
I'm
in a really good
willing to
game right
do.
now. We seem to be at our peak, so why not?
Yeah, I always said I'm willing to work with. Like, if I'm cool with you, we're cool, and you want to do something, I'm willing to always like make content with somebody. And you said because you knew I played MMOs, and I talked about D&D just offhandedly, and bam, here we are. Still not
Yeah.
a fully put together podcast, but we're there. You know, we got a rhythm and we got content at least.
Standards is objective, and if you don't like it, you could suck my dick and listen to something else. It's fucking that easy.
All D&D podcasts are neither live sessions or recaps of what happened, and it tells a story like we are.
Yeah.
Maybe I can add some other things to flare it up, but that goes with me figuring out what the fuck I want to do. That's on me. But anyways,
do the majority of the work. I very much appreciate that.
I'm willing to. I just you bring me the world, and as long as I can keep showcasing Perennia, I'm cool.
Okay, well, with that, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So we're almost done anyway. Because we end last night in the middle of this battle. So they've now got the first boat on fire. They have taken out the flagman in the middle squad, and Shaw, the fucking bow god, has managed to light the other. So there's one more boat 440 feet away, and that motherfucker goes and shoots the next boat 880 feet away. He got that shot. He fucking rolled really high. So he managed to get it where it actually started the rigging on fire. That's a far shot. And that's what he wanted to build, and he was just so happy.
You telling me that shot at the same time I got a puzzle right first try in a game I don't play. So that is great timing. That shot while I'm playing a ranger in this like little action RPG. That's a fucking very weird coincidence. I'm playing a ranger, someone nails a great shot, and then I hit a puzzle first time. So it's a nice ranged shot, no matter how you look at it. Anyway, sorry about that.
No worries. He nails the shot. So now they've got 3 ships burning, and we're basically at the end of the night. There's more killing. If you can picture in your mind, they're on a shoreline. There's a bunch of boats scattered. There's marines all over, but they're all spaced in such a way they can respond to one another. When they do end up responding, it's very professional, very disciplined, as I've said like a dozen times, but I have to drive that home. When they move forward, each squad has 5 heavy crossbowmen and 5 shield bearers.
That makes sense.
When they are attacked, the shield bearers hit their shields up, Sparta style, and then the crossbowmen duck behind them for cover and shoot over their shoulder. So they have mobile cover wherever they're going. They never have to reload, or they don't have to reload for 10 shots. So they can just keep moving forward with non-stop fire. So picture machine gunners with shield walls. Yeah, it's crazy. So they're just, the 5 of them, and then the captains. Now they've also been focus firing, or sergeants, my mistake. They've been focus firing the sergeants as well. So 2 of the squads have no sergeants. All 3 squads that they can reach easily from where they are is all 3 flag bearers are dead. At this point in time, there is a squad bearing down on the boat. They've walked past Quick. Quick has decided to attack them because they're 20 feet away and he wants a sneak attack. He attacks but does not kill anyone on his first shot. He just rolled really low damage. Just bad luck. Andromeda is in the perfect position. She is positioned in such a way that she is behind very solid cover with her back to the water. She is able to help Quick and see the group that's between both boats that is currently bearing down on Shaw. That group, as of now, just got hit with another one of those ray spells or some sort of burst from Zverg that has dazzled a bunch of them. There was 9 of them left, and he dazzled 7 of the 9. So there's only 2. The 2 that are able to act are just staying in formation because the guys that are dazzled are still defending themselves. They just can't do anything else but just stand there with their shields out. Shaw is just trying to make short work of them with his bow. He wants them to get close enough so he can charge them with his swords because he's been dying to use both of them. He loves two-handed weapon fighting.
Well,
Zverg's
it
being a
seems like
boss.
they really want a good, like, all-out battle too. Because
Oh, and they
if
do.
we go
They
through
do.
since the start of the campaign, the most trouble they had was when they were facing that I don't know what the fuck it is in zombie wolves, but that was kind of like you know, it's just a thing in the woods type of deal. Whereas I think they want like a more structured like battle, and they're finally getting it now, and they're probably going to squander it because they're too powerful. Like
Not
they're
at
not going
all.
to get that.
Will get fucked
Okay.
up if they stay. No, the odds are overwhelming. It's fucking 1,000 people. They're only
So
4.
they're the
They've been
party.
doing well from they are, and they're before they walk away,
Don't
they're
be a
gonna kill at
pussy.
least 20 times their own number. I wouldn't doubt if they killed at least 80 before this is all said and done. And then they have to run away, which is my favorite thing now. I don't know why I'm loving the chases, but they know that as soon as this is done, they have to run to help escort everybody else. Knowing this, they got respecs at level 5. I always give every party a chance to respec. You can respec completely. They could have made entire new characters if they wished. They can just change one thing. They could just reroll their hit points if they hate them. They can switch around skills for free. They can re-divvy out their stats. They can just roll new stats, keep everything else the same. The point is, after level 5, all bets are off. Your mulligans are turned in, and I want them to be happy with the character that they're committed to.
I like that.
There
I
were
like
very
that ability in your game. Like not many
oh,
DMs will allow that, and
you
some
have to.
MMOs allow that too. They allow that you can change your shit or you can respec at any point in time until level
They do.
X, and that's good
Video
that
games
games
gave me
have
that
that
idea.
too.
No, video games gave me that idea.
I
The
see. There we
respec
go.
idea came from that. No, that's a good thing video games did for me. But it's more of a I've had lots of players over the years, and one thing I've noticed is if I take them from level 1, often by the time they get to level 5, there would be things that they want to change. Sometimes it would be as much as I have never used this feat in 5 levels. Can I switch it out, please? And maybe, of course, be allowed. But I wanted to then make it a benchmark. If you're going to start from level 1, just know that after 5 levels, which is at bare minimum and should be at a minimum a dozen sessions, the 12 times seeing the same ugly fucking mugs. So it better be something that you enjoy playing because you're going to see them another 48 to 60 times before you decide to call it quits. So they got the characters they wanted, very minor changes overall. I got to say, I'm proud of Andromeda. At the beginning of this, he wanted to make a lycanthrope, which is not a problem for me. The problem I have with lycanthropy is it makes a whole new set of problems. I then have to figure out Perennia, and it's problems in the sense of I enjoy them, they're cool problems, but there's stuff that I have to account for. Again, like I said, I had no problem with it. His backstory allowed for it. His brother, oh no, sorry, I don't want to give his backstory away because it's a secret. The other people are listening, but when we
Yeah. Don't
cross that
spoil
bridge,
it.
yeah, well, when we cross that bridge, I will. But the point is, he also wanted to make Andromeda a lycanthrope, and we divvied it all out. He didn't want the +3 level adjustment. I won't get too inside baseballs with the rules, but there's 2 ways you could go about it. There's a way you can divvy it out over a few levels, or you can just take a hit on all your XP gain from that point on, and that's the price you pay for getting super jacked in 1 level. Him and I discussed this way at level 1 because the man knows how to play the game. He wanted to make sure everything was cool before he got too far.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd said, yeah, we can divvy it out over a few levels, and then you can just go back to getting class levels, and you don't have to worry about a level adjustment, which was his main goal. And that's where we left off. So level 5 rolled around. I said, that's when we're going to do the lycanthropy for you. No problem. We kept it secret the entire time until then. I still don't know if any of the player characters until this point in time even had a client, and he had any idea. He texted me the night out that the next night, I believe, and he was just like, "You know what? I looked at this, and I don't want to do it. The stat boosts are too crazy, and it just doesn't feel right anymore." I was like, "Wow!" And you got to understand that while he's a power gamer in some way, and not, I don't mean that in any sort of negative power context. He's a kitchen sink guy. He likes to plan for everything as a
Well,
kitchen
we
sink guy.
talked about that last
We even
week.
talked about him lots, so I don't want to rehash it. But yeah, like for him to do this, I was like, wow, that's cool. Because honestly, I really didn't want to have to hunt him
Oh no,
because
yeah, we
that's what
were
I
just
wanted
saying like
him
he's
to
a
do.
power gamer in a way where I think this we talked about it
We
on.
have,
I
we
think
have.
it's recorded, like
Yeah,
where
it
we
is.
just said it's a power game, but not in the extent that we bring up as a bad example, but in a way where no, we said the party meshes. You have a power gamer, you have an X person that thinks about this or plays this way. The party meshes in such a way, and me and Quick talk about it. It meshes in such a way where even if it's vastly different personalities that all want the same goal but different ways to achieve it, in the end you guys have such a rapport where no matter what the solution, you guys are going to roll with together. Like you guys are still going to roll together even if you disagree with the answer. You still, you know.
Well, everyone but Zverg. But Zverg just likes to also push Andromeda's buttons, so that's just that.
Oh,
He did it during the last battle too. Fuck.
that's funny.
Sometimes I laugh way too much in my head.
That'd be funny
But
if Andromeda just
it's pretty good.
spawns
He just
10 ghost captains to rape her victims.
oh, they push each other's butts. So it's pretty funny. It's all in good fun. But yeah, that's basically where we left off. So Quick attacked. He didn't do too good. Andromeda's going to give him a hand because they turned to respond to Quick, which put their back to Andromeda. So Andromeda buried a fucking arrow into the sergeant. So now he's realizing he's being attacked on two fronts, so he's got to
Oh
adjust his strike.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Quick is just dying to get into a fight. They all are, and they've earned this.
I
And
called that.
what I
Yeah,
wanted
they
to
really
say
want
before,
this real one, like
they do.
head on fight.
But what I want to say too is it's really hard to do good, cool, overwhelming fights when you're less than level 5. It really
Oh,
is. You
really?
take 2 or 3 hits in a big epic fight, all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 hit points left, and you're like, uh-oh. But in this, they each have about 30 to 40 hit points now, and they can take a few licks and keep on giving. The way the army's worked out, most of the damage they're taking is D8s. So they can take quite a few hits before they go down in maybe 4 to 5. And they don't want to stay. Their objective has been met. The next time we meet, it's probably going to be they're going to kill off the rest of the squads just to make their presence felt and make sure. And then
Smart.
they're going to fuck off down the road and just try to outrun them, which they will do because they're all wearing medium armor, the Galdranites, and these guys are unencumbered. They left
Yeah,
all their
and
gear
plus it's a party of 4 versus 1,000. Even if the 1,000
exactly.
was wearing light gear or was able to run in small groups, all together they all have to run as a group and they all have to maintain. So running as 1,000 against 4, even if you guys are in the same kind of status, that 1,000 is going to hold you back.
Oh yeah, now they've left me with some decisions to make because now I have to decide how they're going to respond. I have to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to like have a few go after them? Or are they just going to say fuck it and take their boats and go back to their main ships and then just pursue from the water? Or are they just going to go destroy the next town?
See,
I'm leaning heavily between or to killing off the next town. I
I think
think
you
they
should
would
send some
realize that
after the
it's
party.
just yeah, it's just a what's it called? A withdrawal attack. There's a name for it. Rear guard. It
I
was
haven't.
just a rear guard action, and they're going to realize it for what it was. And they're more. Yeah, now that I've talked about it, that's what I'm going to commit to. They're going to go wreck the other city next. So mission accomplished for them. From this
Well, I
point
was
on,
gonna
they won't
suggest
oh, go ahead. Go
you
ahead. Absolutely. Please
you
suggest.
send a party after. Well, you send a group like a Galdrin.
Harry them?
You
To
send
Harry
a
them?
well, no, you send Galdrin soldiers after the party, like a small squad instead of that
Yeah.
1,000. And then what happens is, the party escapes, get to wherever they need to go, and since these Galdrin people aren't familiar with what the party looks like, if they just go to a city, it just becomes a battle of like, how long can you go before before the Galdrin folk actually realize what the party looks like.
Well, they have no idea it's the party, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's
And the
what I'm saying.
sanctuary
Like, it would
has
just be,
some people
it
like
would lead
that.
to some good. I think it could lead to some good shenanigans. Like,
Hmm.
it leaves it open enough to where it could be battle. It could be, it could you could set it up to such a way where it's up to the party what they do in the city or in the settlement or whatever they need to do. It's up to them what they do and how they act, and is how the Gouger Knights, find them or even come close. It's like you keep fucking
I
up,
don't even.
you make some noise, you make yourself known. These guys are gonna pay attention and catch on that you are the party.
Well, I don't know what to do with them next. I'm gonna leave it up to them because they've kind of accomplished their mission. They've tested the prototype. The gnomes now know how to make it work. They've struck a pretty decent battle. Ash is committed to leaving the shoreline and going back to his hole, like he said. But from that point on, I'm not sure what he's gonna do. He's so far away from being able to protect the north. It's gonna be almost an assured Galdrin victory now. Now, it's not like he could have stayed in those fucking towns and held them off. He'd have
Hell no.
basically needed to bring all 4,000 of his soldiers down to hold the shoreline, and that would be about all. So I'm not sure what King Ash is going to do now. He's kind of on the ropes in regards to keeping his northern territories. So I'm going to see how he commits. As for the group itself, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to give them a choice now between who they're going to help next. And that's going to be pretty pivotal. I think there'll be a couple more things in between. I want to send them
They should work for
on each other.
Galdrin.
Hey, if they want to, but I don't know if Galdra would hire them because the right hand of the king knows who they are and knows what they know. And if they set foot on that island, it would not go well for them.
Well, see,
Pirate
since it's
base is
such a
full.
big army, since it's such like there's so many people in the muck in politics, it would be easy to be lost in the shuffle where you are in the bottom rung. So no one above middle management, metaphorically speaking, would ever deal with the party.
Correct. The only
But
one who's of high note that knows who they are is Withers and his brother-in-law. So yeah, they're going to
yeah, I
fly under
forgot.
the
Yeah, that's
radar
right.
quite a bit. They only know of them tangentially, like average foot soldier. He'd only know of them tangentially. At the very best, if they even give a fuck about Withers, Admiral Withers is one of many admirals. He is actually the only reason he's an admiral, and I'll tell you this for free because it doesn't fucking matter, and even the characters can hear it. He's now the admiral so that he can declare materiel to go to the pirate base and lose it in the books. So the pirate base is now in full operation. That settlement is thriving because there is a shitload of professional manpower behind it now, being funded by, well, we'll find out who funds it. But the crown wasn't willing to
Withers.
do it before. It was supposed to be done privately so that no one knew about it, really. It was just like, oh, that's a cute thing. And then it would disappear, and then they would run their pirate base. Pirate base is still secret. Now they can send all the shit to it, but they have to do it even faster now because they lost all that time. But there's still the spirit of the island as well, so we'll see how that pans out.
Oh shit, that sounds. That's like what 3 weeks of stuff right there.
Four.
Four.
So
Oh
yeah,
my fuck. All right, so starting
yeah, it's
off,
about an hour too. Worked it out.
we. All right, so last episode would be it's all that planning to go sailing. They come across the ship, they do light battle work, then they come back and then just go to all out war, essentially.
It is now all out worth sanctuary, correct?
Yeah, come
To
back
their
and have
advantage.
a I have a few things to do when they come back after that. Quick snatching the fucking captain and then them battling the mage. God damn,
Yeah,
a lot has
that was a
happened.
good little battle too. Like that was they got to roll and stuff. Like they didn't just take that mage. It was an actual fight. They got one. But this is the first big battle where there's been like a bunch of movement. And this whole battle is taking place over 800-foot battlefield because they're so spread out from one another. And I'm just
Damn.
doing it, jotting everything down on my little notepad like I always do. No major maps, no nothing crazy, just little blobs on a graph paper. And it's all keeping track of it all and know where everything is. And yeah, it's progressing quite well. Andromeda is really warming up to not having an exact tactical battlefield, which is refreshing. It really favors the party not to have a tactical battlefield more, to be totally honest. And I think they're realizing that too,
Yeah.
because a lot of the stuff is I just tell them if you do this, then you have a chance of being surrounded. So that I don't have to like try and be coy about it. And then and I'll work the other regard too. Like they're not always going to know that guys are going to be hidden somewhere where I'd have to hide them somehow on a battle map. Like it works itself out quite well.
Yeah. Oh shit. What is the plan? Oh, any upcoming plans that you plan on throwing at the party that you could share? Since the next session will happen before this comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your advice and I'm gonna harry them with the party. We're gonna do some endurance checks though. It doesn't mean that the guys that harry them are gonna be able to reach them.
Mm.
Two of them took endurance. Sorry, that was the point of the respec that I got sidetracked talking about. The respec, Andromeda ended up taking the endurance feat strictly for these chases, and he was so happy that we're doing one right away. He's like, "Yes, the switch was good." And Shaw, who failed miserably at all of them last time,
Oh,
just got
rip.
in. Yeah, he did, but he got endurance as a feat as a ranger now. So now he's in a better position to do a chase too. So now they're like, "Really? We get to run? This is awesome." So it's cool to hear. It'll be a
Yeah.
little Lord
Keep
Ringsy. It'll be
keep
yeah.
in mind
Go
that
ahead.
merchant thing too, where the party neither sabotages or opens a rival competing shipping business, whether it be black market or you know merchant. You
Like
know.
Oh, sorry. Another part of level 5 is they get all of their specialty things they chose at level 1. So each of them
Oh.
got to choose one thing. They got to choose a legendary item of some sort that would level up with them, or they got to choose to be part of a legendary bloodline where they would get certain spell-like abilities and stat buffs, or the last one is they got to choose a mutant power. And then they roll on a chart to get a special mutant power, and
So
then they get
it's
it. Like
do you get both or it's one or the other?
it's one of the three. It's just
Oh,
one of
okay.
those
Just
three.
making sure I heard that.
Oh, and sorry, there's four. I forgot. My bad. The legacy. The legacy can be something tied to your origin. So I'll tell you all of them, and it'll make more sense when I tell you. So Andromeda chose legacy. So she then got saddled to Matthew because that was part of the story, because Matthew was her adopted father. She
Mm-hmm.
is going to, she knows that when he died, he told her she's going to inherit everything. So if she goes back to Fangorn, she's going to get her inheritance. That's her legacy. It's going to be an absolute fuckload of money. There's going to be an adventure hook to it
I was
too,
gonna say she
and
can
then that will
bankroll.
be it for her.
Yeah, she can
So she's
bankroll some
basically
stuff.
yes, and that's all up Andromeda's lane because she wants to always build shit. So it works itself out. Now she has capital behind her that she can do whatever the hell she wants, which was the point. However, that's a one-shot deal. She gets a windfall at level 5. That's her one thing, and then it moves on from there. Zverig took the same thing. Zverig was with Professor Brown, or sorry, not Professor Brown, Herbalist Brown, who was a dick and tried to save everybody and caught an arrow in the face for it. He he left the legacy of his book, which is insanely valuable. Sverg has an idea because he's a perceptive dude. He knows that that book matters, and they thought that guy was a little loopy at first, and then they're going to realize that they didn't realize just how intelligent and famous in a way that Brown was. That we'll find out when they
Oh,
get that.
okay.
'Cause there's an adventure hook with it too that leads Verg on quite the journey. And at the end of the journey, he gets his windfall, and then that's that. So that's their two legacies. They know this going in, so I'm not revealing anything. They know that they're getting something at level 5 or that point thereafter that will give them a shitload of money or land or something that they want. Um,
All right. So what?
so from
Like,
there,
if they wanted land, would it be
they
just
could
like
take
them
land
opening up
instead.
as
Yeah,
a
but
farm
they
passive income or something?
yeah, exactly. Like, well, they are both going to get land in a way, but I mean, like, if they just strictly wanted land, like at the beginning when they were building their characters, one of them said, I envision my character having a castle, and I want him to have a castle that he bases out of. I want to get the leadership feat, and I kind of want to make my own fifth. So I'd be all aboard for that, of course. So I'd be like, well, if you choose Legacy, then I would allow you to start it as early as level 5 and you'd have the funding and everything you need, and then we could make an adventure out of building that stronghold for him. So that would be an example of using the windfall. I don't want
Gotcha.
to saddle them to anything, so I'm just going to give them some money and let them go. In regards to Brown, he's going to have a small cottage that was Brown's cottage outside, and he does have land. He's got like a square mile of land. I don't know if he wants to stay on it or if he wants to develop it, but he's also getting a shitload of gold. And same thing with Andromeda. She's going to get Nathan's company and that's going to be the gold value that she gains is in that company. And then she can choose to just liquidate her assets and take it all as gold notes or bank notes or whatever. Or she can keep that company and have a place to base out of. Her call.
Guys, your fucking games get really deep.
Absolutely. I want this to be the book that I write, so I want it to be
I
deep.
get it, and
Yeah.
I'm glad this
So then we move
YouTube
to Shaw.
channel will document some of it.
Oh, I love it. So Shaw, he chose Magic Weapon. That was what he wanted, although he has now changed it to Magic Item
That's simple.
because I gave him Tree Topper's boots because he's an elf. Uh, Tree Topper's an elf, and I just said, do you want Tree Topper's bow or do you want his boots? Because those are the two things. Tree Topper's boots have now been in 2 consecutive campaigns. Tree Topper's boots were also featured on Zverg's last character when they played Reclaimers for the Sanctuary. When they were Sanctuarians, Zverg had those boots with his last character. So it's kind of cool to pass that on to another character right after.
That's
Only
pretty
these
cool.
boots are non-magical because all the boots magic got sucked out.
That's
Except mysteriously, these boots gain magic items at level 5, and they're going to gain magic powers
right.
as he levels up with no input from himself. Now, none of these are going to be earth-shattering powers, and they're going to be scaled to the level they should have. So he's 5th level. I said, "Oh, what do you know? Your boots got enchanted. How about that? Good thing you were a good dude to Topper." Because he made a point of going to talk to him, because they are distantly related.
Yeah,
Not enough to be
they
cousins, but
felt
they
some
shared
kind of
blood.
kinship. That's
They
why they
do,
got along.
but not like the bloodline power. Like, say he chose Topper's bloodline, that would be a whole different power set. So
Okay.
anyway, he gets the boots. Boots are going to level up. The first power he gets is Boots of Elvenkind power, which gives him +5 to hide and move silently, I believe. So it just
All
helps
right.
him stealthily walk around. Then last but not least is fucking Quick. Quick
Quickie,
chose
quickie, quick.
yeah, Quick chose to get a magic item or to get a legacy item.
Oh, what legacy item did he get?
He is not going to know yet, and I'm not going to tell him
Oh,
because he is not going to get it until later.
fucker.
I don't even want to say when because I don't want to give away any
I got you.
part of it.
Yeah, because
But
I
yeah,
don't want to know. Also, say, hey, are you gonna do that thing? I don't want to say that. All right.
yeah, all good. And he respect to a Master of the Nine, so he's gone full circle.
Oh yeah,
Like he's
he did
changed
say that's
classes
what
about
that was the
3 times.
plan.
Yeah, that's it. That's why the respect exists, though, is for players like him. He didn't know, and at one point he wanted Quick to die, which I never want to hear as a DM, but totally understand. But yeah, I don't see it as a failing on me. I want them to be happy.
I know. I got you.
So I let him switch about that character a few times. Plus, he likes to let the character tell him what they're going to be and how the play style reacts. So that by the time they get to 5th level, he really knows what he wants to be with this guy. So he is now respect. So he is a spell thief, master of the nine, and then he's going to go. I don't know enough. That's one of the few books in D&D I'm not super up on. I understand how it works, and I get the gist of the mechanics for the game. But when it comes to the in and outs of it, I can't speak on it pretty authoritatively. So I'll just say that he knows that fucking book inside out. He has picked a class that he likes that goes along with what he wants,
Yeah,
and part of it is throw. The next time he takes a
I dig it.
motherfucker in that nest, he wants to throw him right out into that ocean.
Really? Is that he's gonna be able to just fucking wing them?
Yeah, that's his whole point. And I'd love to just, and again, it's all about the mentals, right? So just picture this little 2 foot, because he's only like 2 feet or 30 inches tall. He's smaller than my 9-year-old boy. He
Really?
fucking, yeah, he
That's
could
why
just
he's like
flip.
3 feet.
Yeah, he could just flip my fucking 6'3" ass over his head and just send me flying like 30 feet.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
usually the small ones are usually fucking like jacked, man.
Yeah. So he'd just be like a little mini me, just tossing people around. So it's pretty slick. So yeah, he's gonna make that, and then yeah, he's gonna get something special. We batted around ideas, because he wants to go unarmed. So I was like, well, maybe I'll give some brass knuckles. But he didn't like brass knuckles. We talked about other stuff too, but I want to give it to him later.
Okay.
It'll just work better in my head. And he also got all the good first stuff last campaign for the desert guys, and I like to make people take turns.
Yeah,
So
it's
he just
about
has to wait a
balancing it
little
out.
longer. Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, he understands, and he's like tits
Quick
about
is a
all that.
show off, anyways. He can wait.
He's the fun one though. He's ridden a tornado. You tell you the
I know.
riding a
That's why
tornado
I'm giving him
story, but
shit.
that's one
He's
of my
he's
favorites.
the type of dude to literally will create plastic, like the plastic polymers in the game, in in the world, Then find a way to make a mop bucket, and then make a mop bucket a steed that he rides in. I peg Quick as a show off like that. It has a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
flair and very good ingenuity, but holy fuck, it's tone it down a minute.
actually, Flair is a really good word for that guy. He fucking knows how to make an impact. Like when I
Dude,
took his
that's what
eye
I
with
picked
that
up
last
when I talked
character,
to him.
yeah, his like when I took his eye with that last character, he fucking took that all the way. Like to using it in interactions, to playing it up or playing it down. Like he just takes something and runs with it.
That's good. That's good in a person, whether it's D&D or not. I like that.
I want to maim him again, but it's just not fair. So whoever I do maim, I hope they take it just as well.
Well, you
I
kind
haven't
of
decided
already
how.
emotionally and spiritually and in her soul maimed Andromeda.
No, Andromeda's done her time. Jesus fucking Christ. If I do any more to her, these people will think I have a shit against women or something. I just
Or just a
it,
guy playing women
eh.
characters.
Yeah, right. Like I just no. It's a bit much. Andromeda did her thing. I am jacked for her to get her
There
revenge
was a
on
very
Predators.
important point, which is going to lead to a cool Cold War slash eventual all out war amongst another all out war. But
Oh yeah, wars
anything
beget wars.
else?
No, that's it for now. I think
They hit
that
level
was a good
5,
amount of time.
made all those choices. They fucking annihilate. Well, they kidnapped a captain, annihilated a
Yeah,
wizard, and then
got some
started.
valuable information.
Yeah, got information, and now they are what? Are they being chased now, or is that next session you're gonna
Oh,
set it
they're
up?
still mid-battle. They haven't actually
That's good.
bugged out yet and done the run. So that's what I'm looking forward to. The run should be interesting. And yeah, I'm definitely going to harry them, like you said. And then I'm also going to send ships up above them to trap them. So they're going to have to fight their way through 160 Marines. They're going to send one ship ahead and they're going
Whew.
to harry them with one ship. And they're going to dedicate 320 guys. And yeah, it'll be over. I'm not going to have them try to fight them all. What I'll do is I'll have those silver dragons from before. Enough time will have passed that they can come back and help now after dropping off those other guys. So they're going to come and then they're going to have dragon support, and that'll be the last ditch effort. Plus, they have a shitload of sanctuarians with them, so I'm going to do some battle rolls too, and then have the dragons as a modifier to help, and we'll see how it goes. Um, we'll just see how many people can survive. I don't think the other guys.
It's not a matter of let's see if everyone can survive. It's let's see how many people make it out of this bitch.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's what it's going to be. Thanks to them, Ash and the rest of them have a huge head start. They have at least a 2-day head start, which means they're going to have to be found. So that's
Yeah,
yeah, they've mission accomplished. Like
but
in
based off of
regards
what
to
we talked
saving
about,
Sanctuary,
when they get found, things could be really good for them.
the blue dragon or the silver dragon is going to go back and help in that battle, and they're going to fly across the bay and start evacuating King Ash's citizens because they are the furthest away. And after all his are evacuated, then he's going to go and help in the other ones. But by then it should all be over, and Galdrin has orders to obliterate all three, and then they have a special staging area that I don't know whether they'll get to by now, but the other guy also said that they're going to establish a beachhead and they're going to push them all the way back into their hole. So there's going to be a spot along the shoreline they're going to have to find and dig them out of so that they can't make a beachhead. Because once they make a beachhead, they're going to be a lot harder to get rid of.
Yeah, once you're trenched in, like the enemy's fucked.
Yeah. And while the sanctuary is keyed to land fighting, they'll also have artillery support from
Have
water.
they dug trenches and shit to fortify Sanctuary? Do we cover that, or is that already a thing that exists in Sanctuary, just fortification?
No, as far as King Ash was concerned, the settlements were just an exercise. Those settlements are only about 8 years old. There's not a ton of investment in infrastructure. The
So
valuable thing they did was build the roads between them.
when they
These
make
roads
it
are
back,
now not
maybe they
even
should
to this day.
spearhead defending people, reinforcing, and that be a thing where it's like they're just defending against the enemy while they're reinforcing.
Well, the world was a different place 8 years ago.
That's
eight
true.
years
Eight
ago,
years can
they
change a lot, man.
finally. 8 years ago was when they were just deciding to really do it. They had just pushed the Vikings, the Northlanders back off the shores of the North. Those people had agreed to sign on with them. So he was like, well, I may as well make some cities too. Sent them down, but in the end, it wasn't a huge investment. The loss of life is all that they care about. They can always rebuild. That's the thing about the sanctuary. They've got enough magical power inherent in their population and just a work ethic of communism working. It's not really communism because they have a king, so it's more of the hell is it, a dictatorship
Oligarch,
that's
right? Or monarch.
well, it's not oligarch either.
I
Well, it
meant
is, I guess it is.
monarch.
Oh, you're right. Because Lancelot begets King Ash, and that is hereditary. No, oligarchy is business, so it'll be a hereditary dictatorship. But it works. They're not evil dictators. They're good dictators, but they're not kings. And I call him King Ash, but it's more of an approximation of what he means to those people.
Approximation, Ash.
Because kings have deals with their people, and
Yeah,
there's
I know.
king means something, right? There is certain obligations that both
A
sides
king is
have
a
to one.
representation of the people, like of the common person amongst the greater world too.
It's more of like the early Roman Republic, I guess you could say, where they're all citizen soldiers, and in times of war, one really steps up. But like
Yeah,
most
okay.
governments, it's simply morphed. That's what Owen intended for it. But through circumstances, it's morphed. There was
When
a
it needs
schism.
a leader, there's a leader, is what you're saying. Does that make more
Yeah, pretty
sense?
much. Like, yeah, a
When
guy
it
can
needs a
step
leader,
up.
one stands up.
Yeah, like that's what the Caesar was it not? Or no,
Man, I haven't been
there's
in
a name
school
for
in
the
like
person
eight
that stepped
years.
up. Just trying to remember. There's a name for the Roman citizen that stepped up in times of war. He led them for the war, and then he stepped down, and
Yeah,
then he
that
would wait.
works.
And they would just be farmers that were good at tactics. And the Republic understood that in times of war, it wasn't good to have a whole bunch of counsel. And it was Julius Caesar. Yeah, there was a name for it. Ah, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. But Julius Caesar broke that bond. He's the one who came back. That bond was you don't come back with an army, and when you get the power, that's the dictator. That's what a dictator is. Sorry,
Yeah.
right there the whole time.
Wait, you
So
couldn't say a dictator?
he never gave back the power of the dictator, and that's how he betrayed the Roman Republic, and that was the end of the Roman Republic. So yeah,
Damn.
he's a dictator, but not the bad kind. But at the same time, it's not that he's not stepping down; it's that nobody's asked him to. They willingly call him king.
Hey,
Everybody wants someone to follow.
if he's willing to ride out as long as they want him to ride out there, that's good. I mean, that's a sign of a more humble or shows more humility in a king. Like, hey,
Said
if they tell me to step the fuck down, I won't like it, but I will, type of deal. It's like, but if not, I'm riding this bitch.
Owen said when the Lancelot decided that the sanctuary was self-sufficient, he was just going to fuck off and leave it alone and let it do its own thing.
That works.
And after that, he's never come back to lead it since. It was David, his son, and then King Ash that took it over. There was a small council for a little while when the schism happened, but other than that,
Hmm.
anyway, we should actually end it now because we've tried to do it like twice so far.
Well, I was thinking while you're talking, and I'm
Yeah.
actually interested in a lot of this extra information that you're. Since you kept going on with new information, we should continue adding like doing the history of Perennia, adding like old sessions, old details, or just covering stories that may not be covered in this campaign, but still existed in Perennia as a world. Because if it's going to be a book slash series, might as well start fleshing that shit out some more.
Well, the schism is about a half a show all on its own because it was
Well, we
the
can also do small
point.
little videos too.
Well, the sanctuary had a crisis where the people, because Owen also wanted the sanctuary always cut off from everyone. It was never meant to be part of the world stage. He never wanted that. But people change. Sanctuary population started to explode. And much like a vault in Fallout, there were people that wanted out of that vault. They wanted to go experience the world. They wanted to adventure. They were all told that if you go out there, you're a mutant, you'll be treated badly, but they didn't care. They still wanted to go anyway. So that was the schism. And they came up with a happy medium. Happy medium was they built Sanctuary City on the above ground, and anyone who wanted to stay below stayed below ground. That was it. That was the compromise that they came up with. But it went against tradition,
Yeah,
and it
I
was
mean,
a big
yeah,
deal.
that
So yeah,
is a
there was a bunch to
schism.
it. Yeah, it was a schism. Yes, so yeah, we could talk about that sometime. I have all the history written down. We can just go through the fucking history sometime too.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, that was an eventful episode. All right, so this will, like I said in the beginning, this will be combined with the quick one because that's his perspective of that ocean battle / getting back from that battle to the land. I think is where he ended.
Extra length battle. Oh yeah. And yeah, I should listen to that because he doxes me twice in it. He said.
Yes, that's right, and I
Yeah.
have to go through and edit that out too.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I still have the time frames down on some notepad, and I have it set to where when I pull it up in my editor, as soon as I see the audio hit, like because I clapped or I yelled at my mic, as soon as I see it peak halfway through the chat, that's when I know he does it twice in like 5 minutes.
Well, when I listen to it, what I'll do too is I'll write down a timestamp, make your life easy too. If you want to send me that first, I'll write down the timestamp for you and make your life way faster.
I got you, man. I'll send that to you tonight. But
Zberg will do it too. I'm not worried about Shaw. Shaw's pro. He already calls me by MrMan anyway.
Yeah, as long as we address it when it happens, like if someone catches it and announces it when I'm talking to them or when we're talking, that's cool because then when I'm listening to the audio, rendering it or editing it, I'll hear that like, oh hey, blah blah blah. Instead of just slipping it, saying it and trying to move on like you didn't say it, that would be the worst because then everyone's just gonna not pay attention.
Like most of us who value our anonymity, we can hear our own names when we don't even mean to. Like if you were to say my own name in a VC and I didn't know you, I would fucking be like, interesting.
All right, well, fuck. Let me end it here.
Motherfucking wizards never die.
Yeah, you know who we are. Hey, we back. Motherfucker 2008.
Motherfucking wizards never die. Puffin' on that wizard weed all day, all night, stay hot. That's why wizards ain't gon' die.
Just try and step up to this wizard.
Oh, you ain't heard? Don't fuck with this wizard.
I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Motherfucker, bow down, you should second this.
I'm bulletproof.
Step up to me, take aim and cock it. Pull the trigger, now watch, I just smile and block it. What the fuck can you do to kill me? Ha! I got my spells to heal me. Go ahead, roll up with your gats a blast in. I blast back and kill while the joint's still passing. I'm from the streets, bitch, you know where I've been. Always sipping potion with that juice and gin. I'm out, motherfucker, it's time to fly. Because motherfucking wizards never die. We don't die, we don't die, we don't die, we don't die. We stay high because motherfucking wizards never die. We don't die, we don't die, we don't die, we don't die. We stay high because motherfucking wizards never die.
Still dragon riding, still maiden banging. This motherfucking wizard got in the crack slanging. Yeah. I'm in the kitchen all day long, stirring them cauldrons to a minstrel song. I serve goblins, make fiends out of orcs. Who the fuck said spell casting was for dorks?
I get treasure.
Stacking gold coins, ruby in my ring. This magic game is a beautiful thing, but it's tough. You gotta earn your keep. That's why I'm rolling with my guild 4 deep. You can try and creep to this wizard thug, but you're gonna catch a motherfucking lightning slug. Don't make this wizard mad, don't make this wizard pissed. I could kill a hill giant with a flick on my wrist. Go ahead, dude, give it a try. Motherfucker, wizards can't die.
Foul surprise, what's with your eyes? You're so hypnotized. Step to me, I'll make you cry. We wizards never die. Hoo-ha, hoo-hee, that's what the maidens be screaming when they get with me. D-roll and take a knee. Scrub my shaft and begin to bleed. Abracadabra, take my staff and I'll stab you. That will grab you. Don't front, it'll be a witch hunt. Cause motherfucking wizards never
You
die.
gotta get real, you gotta act real, and that's a fact, Neil. Patrick Harris, cats embarrassed when I battle them, because I rattle the rhyme skills with my talisman. I'm holding this track down like Mike Tyson, hitting the skins with Robin Givens. I'm about to begin to flex on this mic here. I'm rocking tight gear, flashing my white beard, that's right here. Motherfucking elves, you all know me. I never won a Grammy, I won't win a Tony, but those who know me know I'm dealing the realness, so they can feel this like a dope set of real tits. When I'm hitting skins, I rock and I lean with it so deep it's a spinal tap like Michael McKean's in it. I got a spell book by my side.
Motherfucking wizards never. We don't die.